And welcome back to Better Health. Of course, you can tweet us at www.purehealthdirect.com. Ask us any questions about today's show. You can also send us an email at info@purehealthdirect.com. If you've got any questions for Janet, or we can somehow get some answers to you, we'll certainly do our best. Now, Janet, welcome back, of course, after the break.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful to have your daughter Holly here too, who's been fantastic, we have to say. Thank you so much, Holly, for being a good girl in the studio. Now, you were talking a bit earlier about, you said something about there's an estrogen prevalence going on here. You're saying for women who had their periods early. There's obviously an estrogen link. Can you explain that a little bit more to us?
Yeah, unfortunately it's not just estrogen. There's also a lot of ladies who are now being progesterone positive as well.
Right.
So everyone originally thought it was an estrogen, but it's not at all. Most ladies can be a triple positive, which is a HER2 positive, estrogen positive and progesterone positive.
Okay.
So there can be a whole range of different things, but the estrogen is the one that's most well known. It's just a high exposure to different cells, and breast cancer, there's a whole range of different cell lines. I won't go too in depth.
Fantastic, yeah.
But estrogen can actually stimulate their growth. But now they know that progesterone can as well.
Wow, so it's really getting quite intense, really.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Now, just getting back to what we can do, what women can do in general. Clothing, is there any kind of do we need to look at the clothing we're wearing, undergarments and whatnot?
Yeah. Obviously most ladies wear bras these days,
Sure.
and that's a big one for a risk, and most people don't actually realise that. The underwire bras or bad fitting bras can actually block some of the lymphatic flow to the actual breast area, and that can cause a build-up of toxins, which can then also increase the risk of poor health for the breast area. So what I would encourage most ladies to do is actually, if you've never had a fitting for a bra, is go get fitted properly so that you have bras that do fit, or find ones that don't actually have an underwire.
Okay.
So that way then, at least then you're not blocking that lymphatic flow.
Yeah. Okay. So most lingerie stores and things like that would be able to do fittings.
Yeah, a lot of them actually have fittings.
Yeah.
Do proper fittings.
Okay, so you'd recommend that rather than talking to your girlfriend or your sister?
Absolutely.
Yeah. No problem.
No, most ladies would have never been fitted for a bra.
Yeah.
And they would actually find a lot of them are actually ill-fitting, unfortunately.
Okay, so that's something definitely worth doing.
Yeah.
Okay, so Janet, what can we do if we find lumps and bumps and things like this?
The first thing I would do is definitely go to the doctor.
Go to the doctor?
Go to your GP first. They will then refer you to get to a breast check, which means that they'll go to either one of the different centres where they'll do a mammogram, ultrasound, and if they're unsure, then they'll do a fine needle biopsy. From there, the histology will find if there is a problem or not. But as soon as you find anything that's unusual, definitely go to your GP.
Okay. Now, of course, at this stage, you're doing your doctorate, but you're not a GP. So if people are coming to you, of course, you would say to them, go to your GP.
Absolutely.
But someone like a naturopath can work with the results and work with the GPs. Is that what happens?
My whole idea is that my PhD is actually in a medical integrative area.
Excellent.
So our whole idea is to be able to integrate with all the doctors, the specialists, the oncologists. I work with a lot of GPs and oncologists, and to help with the better health of the patient. So yes, naturopaths and nutritionists can do a lot to assist.
Fantastic. So is it just giving supplements, or is it supporting the other treatments?
No, it's not just supplements, it's supporting the other treatments, but diet plays a huge part.
Right.
I mean, it's not the be all and end all, but there's a lot of research on diet and breast health and breast cancer.
Okay, so there's some foods that we really need to consider either eating more of or eating less of? What would you recommend here?
There's a great study that just came out in 2010 on post-diagnosis for breast cancer, but it's a good study for general population for women. And what it was looking at is using a whole food type diet, decreasing a lot of the processed type foods, making sure you've got a lot of whole grains. Fibre is extremely important in maintaining it because it binds to a lot of your hormones like your estrogen, your progesterone, your toxins to eliminate. So making sure you're doing good bowel motion.
So when you say fibre, like Metamucil, or what do you mean?
If you're not getting enough fibre out of your diet, then Metamucil is an option.
Yeah. What would you recommend in the diet though?
Definitely your whole grains. Lots of veggies. Veggies have a good form of different fibre, but you need your both soluble and insoluble type of fibre to assist with that. So your veggies, your whole grains, and some of the fruits, not so much so, but they're really important to maintain.
Sure. So when you say whole grains, if we eat like whole grain bread, is that?
Whole grain bread is an option as well, but we need to include a lot of different grains. Unfortunately, our society is based on wheat and highly processed wheat.
That's right.
So you're looking at more some of your darker breads, things like your rye bread and stuff would actually be a better option. Looking at rolled oats, in the morning, Wheat Bix, I guess, is an option too,
Sure.
rather than your processed type cereals. But then you're also looking at some of your lower things like basmati rice, brown rice as well, using things like couscous, doing a range of different more whole grain in your diet.
Fantastic. So it is more about those foods rather than some of the packeted products that have the rice grains in there or the whole grains in there.
Yeah, unfortunately, I know we're very time poor.
Yes.
In today, so a lot of people do opt for the processed foods rather than the whole foods, but it's also learning how to make quick foods with whole foods. That's is a key.
Sure. I mean, you can buy cooked brown rice now, can't you?
You can.
Just heat it and off you go. So that's not too inconvenient. So are there other foods that we need to look at?
Yeah, particularly when you're looking at fruit and veggies, really important to maintain a good amount in your diet. I know we always say like your 2.5 cups of veggies, and most people don't contain those.
Yeah, is that per day? Sorry to interrupt.
Per day. 2.5 cups of veggies per day.
Okay.
And there's particular veggies when you're looking at breast health, and they include like the cruciferous veggies such as your broccoli, your cauliflower, your Brussels sprouts. For two main reasons, because they have the sulfurosides and also the indole-3-carbinol, which actually works with detoxification of your hormones.
Oh, okay. And we've got Carrie-Anne in the corner here poking her tongue out at all those veggies. Are they the only places we can find these sulfurosides?
Sulfurosides can actually be in a lot of the sulfur foods like garlic and stuff as well. Okay. But they're high in those particular foods, unfortunately, Carrie-Anne. So including those in your diet as much as you can is great. Decreasing your white potato is important because it's high starch.
Yes.
So you're wanting to keep more of a low GI type diet rather than a high GI type diet, which means high GI is all your sugary based type foods, your highly white flour, your white rices, those type of things. The other thing is with your fruits, there's particular fruits that are really important for ladies, and they include your red grapes because it's the skin, which is the resveratrol that's on it. Cherries are really good as well, and obviously your berries have got a really good name.
Okay.
And they do actually important for breast health.
Okay.
The other foods we need to include is iodine. Iodine is a nutrient that a lot of people, not just females, are actually low in Australia. Yeah. And it's hard to measure as well because there's only really a urine iodine test. But iodine needs to be incorporated in our foods because a lot of it's lost in our soil. So the only way we get it is really out of our seafood, but also the seaweeds. And the easiest way of doing that is rice crackers with seaweed on it.
Nice. Sounds good. So I do recall there's a skin test that you can do with iodine. Is that worth doing?
Legal skin test isn't too bad. That is an option. It's not 100%, unfortunately, and a lot of people forget to keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
So the compliance and iris is a bit low, but it is still a good test.
Sure. So when you say keep an eye on it, what's involved with that test?
Yeah, when they put the iodine on the actual skin, you need to keep an eye on how long before it disappears, and that can be up to anywhere between 2 to 12 hours. So
sure.
A lot of people then forget to keep an eye on it after usually the first hour.
Fair enough, not a problem. Well, look, we might take another quick song break. Thank you, Janet. You're listening to Better Health, and we'll be back in only a minute or two.